husband received a loyalty reward from a hotel I frequently visited with my affair. Karma got me. I suspect that my husband intentionally set me up with my AP and made me frequent the hotel. He has a loyalty reward so he could expose my infidelity. My name is Angelina, and I'm a part-time graphic designer. I'm a married woman, and I've been married for 3 years now. The name of my husband is Jerry, and he's 33 years old. Jerry and I have one of the most complex relationships ever. We knew each other for about 2 years before we got married. We weren't friends right away, nor did we date for a long time. Jerry isn't an overly emotional person, and that's the same thing with me. I won't come here to lie and claim that it was a love marriage or some sort of emotional love story. Jerry wanted stability and loyalty because he didn't want a cheating woman. His ex-girlfriend, whom he dated for over 4 years and got engaged to, ended up cheating on him. That really made him picky about dating in general, so it was hard for me to get through to him. When we first met, I knew he had a lot of money. He works as a developer at a company, and even though I do not know everything about his work, I know that he's loaded when it comes to the financial department. He's also good-looking to an extent, and is very disciplined and hardworking. I knew deep down that I just had to marry him, because to me he was the dream man. I fell for him instantly, but it wasn't like I was head over heels in love. Let's just say I had a crush on him, and his financial capabilities made matters better if I'm being honest. On the other hand, and unfortunately for me, Jerry wasn't really giving me the kind of energy I expected from him. It became obvious to me that he wasn't really interested in a relationship at that point in time. I knew it had to be because of his previous relationship and how things ended. So, after we met, I gave him up to a year to just get over it. If it wasn't like Jerry was holding on to him or anything like that, it was just that he wasn't interested in investing in another relationship. He had his guard up and felt like all women were the same. In proper situations, I would have left him to believe whatever he wanted to believe and just moved on with my life. But in that particular case, I just had to wait longer. I had to marry Jerry. That was the decision I had made. I felt like he would be the best choice of a husband, because for me, he ticked all the boxes. So I stayed, tried, and worked hard till he finally started noticing me. Jerry is very intentional and always has his guard up, so I just gave to note that it was difficult. It was the hardest relationship I'd ever been in because he barely gave me money or tried getting me expensive gifts. I knew that was because he felt like I was with him for his money and just wanted to be a gold digger. So I decided to pretend like I was an independent woman that was okay with not getting expensive gifts or being silent. I basically hid my real personality just so I could get in his hood books. I learned that he was looking for a woman who wasn't after money, had her own thing going on, and just wanted to be in a relationship for the right reasons. I had to make him feel like I was that person, so I had to pretend. To me, it was just the process of getting tested, and I had to pass all the tests, no matter what. Luckily for me, we eventually got to that point that I felt like he senses my genuine intentions. Months later, we got engaged. After our engagement, I literally had the biggest test of my life. I felt like everything I did had to be calculated at that moment, because the fact that I got the ring didn't mean that I could magically keep it. I was conscious of the fact that his last relationship ended just after his engagement, so I didn't want to change suddenly and get relaxed after getting engaged. I know it all sounds wild and unhinged, but I had to do what I had to do to secure the bag. Jerry wanted a woman that was genuine, so I had to be that person. I'm not trying to say I didn't really want to marry him. I 100% wanted to marry him. The thing is just that I wasn't really as independent as I was portraying myself to be. I liked to be sore-bedded, and I liked the feeling of having a man pay for almost everything I purchased. So that's the same thing I expected Jerry to do. But Jerry didn't want to be that kind of guy, so I wanted to pretend to be someone else, till we got married. I had the mentality that I could change his way of life after marriage. I also felt like marriage was the ultimate deal, and that when married, he'd have no choice than to spend on me and deal with whatever attitude or personality he didn't know I had before. It all seemed like the perfect plan until I realized that I'd been making a big fool out of myself. Yes, you heard me right. I had been the biggest fool in the world. Jerry wasn't the type of man I could change. He isn't the type of man that would dance to your tunes no matter what and put your priorities over his own. I feel like if I'd met him before his ex, it would have been a different case. Because Jerry took the lessons from his previous relationship and made sure never to make the same mistakes. After we got married, all hell literally broke loose, and I realized that I might have made the highest mistake of my entire life. Jerry is nowhere near the man I thought he was. He didn't try to charge at all or put an effort to make me happy. I wanted a marriage, not some sort of independence training. We had a lot of problems, but I'll break each one down. The biggest and most annoying problem for me was the financial aspect. I am even finding right now just thinking about the shades of hell Jerry put me through. I needed a man that could actually spend on me without thinking of his balance right after, but Jerry was not that man. Anytime we went out, he would pay the bills, even when we went shopping. But the problem is that he never paid for any extra stuff I wanted to buy. If we're getting matching outfits or shopping for an event, and I decide to buy an extra designer bag, diamond jewelry, or designer shoes, he would only pay for the things we had agreed on getting beforehand. He never cared to bear the financial losses from my spontaneous shopping, and that just got on my nerves all the time. I didn't get what the use of having a rich husband was if he couldn't just pay for expensive stuff. Yes, he bought things for me, took me shopping, and provided for the house, but he just never seemed to give me the huge checks I expected. I didn't get why buying me a designer bag was a problem. He would get me clothing and stuff, but never anything trendy or outrageous. But I wanted stuff like that. I wanted to wear the trendy things and expensive stuff I saw my peers wearing. But for him, that was a waste of resources. Sure, we lived in a luxurious house, never packed food, had stable water and electricity, and went on dates to expensive restaurants. Yes, all these things were available, but for me, it just wasn't enough. I expected him to put me on some sort of allowance. Yes, that's not asking for too much. For me, that's just the norm. I have friends whose husbands literally added them to their payroll. That's the same treatment I expected Jerry to give me. I didn't blame myself for giving him that idea that I'm independent, contented, and not after money. Yes, maybe I played a role in that, but I was not ready to give up. Even though I didn't lack in marriage, I wasn't exactly living the kind of luxurious lifestyle that I craved. So I decided to take matters into my own hands and confront him. I just couldn't bear the thought of living like that forever. But Jerry didn't take it lightly at all. He wanted a fan of the way I came up to him and accused him of being an irresponsible husband. To be honest, I don't think I'd ever seen him so angry in my entire life. I had come up to him very angry, and the first thing I said was, "I feel like you are spending less on me than on your car, literally. I'm your wife, and I should get treated like one." That's what I said first. But with the reaction I got from him, you would think that I'd asked him to sell his kidney for me. "What is that supposed to mean? Do I not spend it on you?" Jerry had asked. My dear Reddit family, that question was a tricky one, and I knew it. I couldn't say no because he actually does spend on me, but I also couldn't say yes because I felt like he didn't spend enough on me. So I decided to go with the safest reply. "You don't just spend enough on me." That was it. That was literally the best statement I could come up with. But Jerry didn't receive that well at all. Before, I had the impression that Jerry could easily diffuse disputes between us. Even though he had always been strict and had his guard up, I'd always imagined that he would not like to argue with me and would be the way to calm the situation. But Jerry refused to be that person when we had our argument. He didn't try to calm me down. Instead, he called me out for being tone deaf and out of touch with reality. According to him, money wasn't easy to get, and that I should never feel entitled to whatever he earned. He also pointed out the fact that I had a habit of buying things I do not need, and that's why he never paid for them. He made the excuse of saving up for the future, and pointed out the fact that the economy isn't favorable, so he couldn't bear to spend extravagantly on clothing that we didn't need. He asked me if I'm hungry, and I said no. So he proceeded to ask what the problem was. I tried to point out the fact that for me, the problem was that I wasn't getting the kind of luxurious treatment I craved, and that was getting me angry. Can you believe that even after I gave him all of these reasons, he still believed that I was just being wasteful? He claimed that I didn't lack, but just wanted to spend, and for him, there was no way he was going to let his hard-earned money get wasted. I couldn't believe my ears, guys. Jerry literally told me to *CK off with that statement, and it embraced me. I started having a lot of unwanted thoughts, but it's not my fault. If he didn't react, I wouldn't have those thoughts. After our heated exchange that day, I began to consider a lot of things. It was hard for me to come to terms with the fact that after all my hard work and scheming, Jerry wasn't ready to do what I wanted. It made no sense to me, and I genuinely got heartbroken. I wanted the baby girl lifestyle where I could spend on everything I wanted without a care for the world. So, I decided to go for a plan B. Initially, I never thought there would be any need for a plan B. I honestly believed that I had hit the jackpot with my marriage, but it ended up being the exact opposite. So I had to sit down and strategize all over again. It was just important to me to take matters into my own hands. So the first thing I did was ask myself if I wanted to cheat on Jerry. If not for our financial differences, I know that I'm not a cheater and naturally have no desire to cheat. But it was difficult to use my head at that moment. One day while I went shopping alone, someone offered to pay for my things. It was really a thing of surprise for me because I didn't expect anyone to do that for me. It is mostly because I never went shopping by myself since Jerry and I got married. He always made time to accompany me, even though he made no move to pay for the extravagant items I decided to buy. The only reason I ended up going shopping alone was because of my argument with Jerry. He seemed to be upset about my words and the feeling was mutual, so I decided to go shopping alone. And that's how someone ended up being for what I bought. After paying, the man asked for my contact details and I gave it to him freely. I felt like it would be stupid to say no to the same person that had helped me without restraint. He kept in touch and chatted me up once in a while, but after some weeks I stopped speaking to him. He didn't really do anything to warrant such a reaction from me. The thing was just that I felt like speaking to him continuously would be a waste of time. He didn't have as much money as I wanted, and for me to risk my marriage, I wanted to make sure it was for someone worth it. That's how I got introduced to dating sites, guys. It was the most spontaneous decision of my life. I'd always heard of dating sites, and the fact that people usually found love on those apps, but I'd never paid attention to it, because I didn't imagine myself being on a dating site for any reason. But things took a turn when desperation hit, and I ended up subscribing to a dating site. I saw some reviews online, and then a friend of mine told me she met her rich boyfriend on one of those apps. I particularly took an interest in dating sites because I felt like it was easier to know the financial classes of men based on that. So, I needed a man that would be in the range of financial capable men I want. So, I was able to find about 5 and 4 out of them were all scammers. Finally, I got with a guy named Jaden. Jaden was the perfect definition of a man that was ready to spend. He literally started spending time with me from the first date. It would be an understatement to say I was impressed by Jaden and all he did. In fact, I practically feel for him right away. He took me out all the time and was never relentless to spend it on me. I started sleeping with him after only 1 week of going out with him. I knew I was being easy, and I was wrong for cheating on Jerry, but my desire to get the finer things in life the easy way left me with no choice. After almost 3 months of dating, Jaden and I had a particular hotel that we were regulars at. Jaden loved the hotel because he felt like it was the most secretive place we could meet up without worrying about getting caught. Yes, I'd told him that I was married, and he also told me that he had a girlfriend. So privacy was important for us, and it was necessary to find a place that didn't put us in danger of getting caught. While all this was going on, I had no idea that Kai Karma was on its way. I believed that I was a mastermind and played who had a rich guy wrapped under her finger. I loved the thought of being able to stay married to a rich man and also have a rich man as my AP. I was enjoying the extravagant lifestyle, and the thrill of outsmarting my husband was insane. Jerry, on the other hand, didn't seem to notice the shift in the air. Well, I believed for the longest time that it was because I was just too sleek with things. But it happened to be that wasn't the case. He just didn't notice anything because he was busy with work. Jerry and I lived under the same roof like all couples did, but there was no form of affection. I knew that he had picked up on my attitude, but not the fact that I was cheating. Even though I was cheating with Jaden, all I really wanted was to grab Jerry's attention. I knew Jaden was just a face, and that it would be impossible to keep dating him forever. So, I thought it would be nice if Jerry craved attention from me and finally decided to spend money on me. I planned on achieving this by giving him limited attention and trying to get him to miss me. It sounds stupid and naive, but that's just how desperate I was. While I was going on and out of the hotel with Jaden almost every day, I had no idea that I was being watched and that the truth was about to blow up in my face. It just didn't make sense to me at first. A huge part of me got angry gradually when I realized that none of my tactics was working on Jerry. Jerry didn't make an attempt to settle with me or even ask why I stopped spending so much time with him. Before I complained to him about his low spending on me, we did everything together. Everything was great in our marriage except his lack of financial trust in me. So I expected him to notice my withdrawal and try to get to the bottom of the issue, but the reverse was actually the case. He didn't care to do anything of the sort. He just went on with his life as if nothing was going on around him. This made me really angry, and it took restraint not to rattle myself out. But at the end of the day, I didn't even have to be the one to rattle myself out. The truth came out on its own in due time. So, it happened to be that all the time I was thinking I was smart, Jerry had discovered the truth, but was just observing to see how he would make me regret my decision for the rest of my life. Do you know the hotel I told you guys about? Yes, the same one I visited almost every day with Jaden. Well, I had absolutely no freaking idea that Jerry had received a loyalty reward at that hotel. I had absolutely no idea that Jerry frequented the hotel a lot of times and was basically a VIP member up to the extent that he got the loyalty reward. It had to be one of the most shocking revelations of my entire life because I most definitely didn't see any of it coming. So, one day, I was exiting the hotel like I usually did with Jaden and I holding hands. While we were on our way out, Jaden stopped and told me he needed to greet a friend. I decided to follow him only to get up in front of my husband. Yes, you read that right. I ended up in front of my husband. I don't think anyone will be able to imagine the level of shock I felt. I had absolutely no idea that Jerry and Jaden knew each other. Jaden knew I had a husband, but I never told him Jerry's name, and I also never showed him Jerry's picture. I discovered that day that Jaden worked under Jerry at work, like he was his junior at his work. I swear that I almost fainted right away. I couldn't figure out if that was just a perfect coincidence or if the two guys were playing me right in front of my eyes. Jerry actually pretended like he didn't see me and walked away. I refused to comment because I didn't want Jaden to get suspicious. I asked him how he knew of Jerry, and that's when he started telling me that Jerry was his boss at work and that Jerry also frequented the hotel a lot. I asked why, and he said Jerry held business meetings at the hotel, so much that he got a loyalty reward from the hotel, and that it was because of Jerry he decided to make that particular hotel our special spot. While he was speaking all the jargon, I wanted to practically strangle him. I discovered that all the time I came to the hotel, Jerry probably saw me or knew my whereabouts. The fact that I was unaware and stupidly thought I was being smart was crazy. I still suspect Jaden and I don't know what to make of everything that's going on. I need help because Jerry has told me to leave the house immediately, and he has also filed for divorce. G filed for divorce long before I got caught. My only hope now is Jaden, so I pray he isn't in on this. I cannot end up poor. Update. Hello, Reddit. I am back again. I am sorry for waiting this long. It was never really my intention. So, let's get right into the update. I just discovered that Jerry set me up. He saw my profile on one of the dating sites, then set Jaden up with me. He actually asked Jaden to match with me and get with me. Jaden had no idea I was Jerry's wife, so Jerry tested me by trying to see if I would cheat on him for money. Apparently, he got suspicious of me and my intentions after the argument we had about money. He grew suspicious of me and decided to see if I would fall into his trap. He made Jaden promise not to tell him who made his match with me, and he actually funded everything Jaden spent on me. Yes, you read that right. I was long in his stupid game, and for Jaden, he was just following his boss's wish. That's why he didn't like me when we first met. They also explained why Jerry never cared to ask why I got detached. He planned it all and wanted to expose me. I honestly feel used and cannot believe I was used this way. Frequenting that particular hotel was never a coincidence. My own husband made me cheat so he could divorce me right away. After putting all my hope on Jaden and thinking he would help me get back on my feet after getting broke, I discovered he's just my husband's junior and wants nothing to do with me after finding out I'm his boss's wife. I'm extremely miserable and now I'm heading for divorce. Karma literally bit me hard.